Hello viewers, welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagwani. I am assistant professor from Department of Computer Science, Aripet College, University of Delhi. So in this series of design and analysis of algorithms, we are currently learning our topic of amortized analysis, in which specifically we have covered one technique, which is aggregate analysis, and now we are exploring the second method of amortized analysis, which is accounting method. And we have covered the basic details about this accounting method in our previous lectures. So in this lecture we will be taking some examples of accounting method, that how this accounting method is performed in kind of various situations. So let us begin with a quick recap of the accounting method. So in accounting method, what do? We assign various charges to different operations. Some operations are charged more while some are charged less, more or less as compared to their actual cost, and what they have been charged will be called as their amortized cost. And when an operation's amortized cost is more than its actual cost, that means we have some kind of credit in our hand. So that difference, which is known by the term credit, is assigned to specific objects in the data structure, and that term is known as credit. So basically we can say, if we have extra cost, that means we have charged more and the actual cost of a particular operation is less, then the difference will be known as credit, and that credit is associated to specific objects of the data structure. For example, if we talk about stack, then within that stack different elements are the specific objects. So with those elements our credit will be associated. Now this credit can be used later on to help pay for operations whose amortized cost is less than their actual cost. So we will be having, in the sequence of operations, we will be having some operations where we have charged less and their actual cost is more. So where we are getting deficit of cost, that credit can be used to pay. So basically your amortized cost is your actual cost. We can say it's a combination of two terms, which amortized cost is splitted into actual cost and credit. Now this credit can be there or it could be zero. If we are getting deficit, then we will take credit from some other operations. But for this thing to execute properly, we need to choose the amortized cost of all the operations very, very carefully. And the ultimate idea behind the whole study of amortized analysis is that we actually want to show that the worst case average cost per operation is small. So for that we need to establish that total amortized cost for a sequence of operation is going to be the upper bound on the total actual cost of the sequence. So actual cost of the sequence is bounded above by the amortized cost of sequence of operations. That is what the main ultimate aim of amortized analysis is. And because in order to achieve this aim, we need to make sure that the total credit which is associated with the whole data structure, individual objects of the data structure, the total of that particular credit must be positive at all the times. So the credit can never be negative. This is what we need to be very specific about, because this credit is representing the amount by which amortized cost exceeds the actual cost. So we need to be careful that total credit in the data structure should never become negative. This is one point which we need to be very, very careful when we are talking about assigning different amortized cost to operations, to various operations. Now let us try to understand this accounting method in some simple terms, or by taking examples of applications of our daily life. I think all of us have bought some pre-stamped envelopes at the post office. We have purchased that. So what are we going to pay there. We are going to pay for the envelopes as well as for the postage, because these are pre-stamped envelopes, and when we are trying to send that particular envelope, no additional charges required. So if I am saying that we have paid for envelope as well as for postage also, and we are not going to pay any additional charge at the time of sending the letter, what does it mean? This essentially means that no additional charge is taken at the time of sending a letter. That means that charge has already been taken when we are purchasing the envelope. So this accounting, or this we can say kind of debit credit methods, can be seen as an amortization of cost of sending a letter. Now let us consider, we have within this operation we have two basically transactions or sub operations, we can say. That is, one is buying an envelope, another one is mailing that letter or sending a letter. Now for example, the actual cost is of buying an envelope is 5 unit, but the cost which is being charged, that is the cost, amortized cost, has become 49 units. So in this 49 units, we can say actual cost of mailing a letter, if it is 44 units, amortized cost here is 0. That means this 5 plus 44 is actually we can say is charged at the time of buying the envelope, and nothing will be charged at the time of sending the letter. So see what is happening here. Actual cost for buying an envelope is 5 units, but the amortized cost is 49 units. So here we have a credit of, we can say, 44 units with that associated with that particular envelope. And when it comes to sending that letter or mailing that letter, the actual cost is 44 units and the amortized cost is 0. That means at the time of mailing the letter, we are not charging anything. We already have 44 units in our credit account, and that 44 units have been we can say used up. So amortized cost, that means the cost which is being charged for that particular operation, for operation of mailing a letter, is 0. So because that has been charged early while the time of buying an envelope, the actual cost of buying an envelope was 5 and 49 has been charged at that time. So that extra credit of 44 units will be used up when will you mail the letter, and hence no amortized cost will be charged at the time of mailing a letter. So it's a kind of, we can say, simple accounting in which we have credit, balance credit with our data structure objects, and that credit will be used. But we have to be very careful that this credit should never turn negative. So here we have with this example, we have seen just a snapshot of one individual sequence of particular operation, and this can be this accounting method, or this keeping the credit balance can be there for any valid sequence of operations where the amortized cost is at least as high as actual cost. So we are talking about a sequence of operation here, not the individual operation, because if you consider individual operation, this claim does not hold that amortized cost is at least as high as actual cost, because in our just recent example we have seen that the amortized cost of mailing a letter is 0 while the actual cost is 44 units. So here what I am talking about when I say that amortized cost is at least as high as actual cost, that means I am talking about a sequence of operations. I am not talking about any individual operations. So within the recent example, if we can say mailing a letter 44 units and buying an envelope is here 5 units, so that is 49 unit is the actual cost of this sequence of operations, and we have charged amortized cost of 49 units while purchasing the envelope while buying the envelope, so that and we have charged 0. So for this whole sequence of operation, which includes mailing the letter as well as purchasing the envelope, the amortized cost is at least as high as the actual cost. However, this amortized cost, we can say, is easier to keep track of, because you can say in terms of balance sheet, or in terms of when we talk about accounting method, it is one of the fewer item on your balance sheet, so you can easily keep track of this amortized cost. So here we have seen one, we can say, a daily life example where amortized cost can be, or amortized analysis can be used. Now coming to the example from the domain of computer science specifically, let us consider a special stack which we have seen in our previous lectures. Why I am calling this stack as a special stack, because it is having the two common operations, which is push and pop, and it is also supporting an operation of multi pop. So if we are going to recall the actual cost of the operations, so push is actually order 1 operation, or the cost we can say is 1 unit. Pop is also 1 unit, and if we talk about multi pop, so actual cost of multi pop operation, which we have seen in our previous lectures, is minimum of k and the size of stack. So S is the size of the stack and k is the number of elements on that particular stack. So whatever is minimum among k and S will be the actual cost of that multi-pop operation, where k is the argument supplied to multi-pop and S is the stack size when it is called. So whatever is minimum of them is the actual cost. So yes, we are we can say aware with the actual cost of this push pop and multi-pop, where multi-pop is the operation which is allowing to pop multiple elements in one instance. Now coming to the amortized cost of these operations, so we can say we have amortized cost of push as 2, for pop it will be 0, and for multi-pop it is also 0. So amortized cost of multi-pop is also, we can say, constant, where actual cost was not constant, the actual cost was variable. So please remember, the actual cost was min k comma s, min of k and s. So basically here we can say the amortized cost of the operations may differ asymptotically. Asymptotic cost or actual cost is different from the amortized cost. The actual cost was 1 for push, 1 for pop, and a variable which is minimum of k comma s for multi-pop. But here in this case, amortized cost is push, for push is 2, for pop is 0, and for multi-pop also it is 0. So let us try to compare these cost. So operations, we have in the table shown on the screen, we can see we have operations, then their actual cost, and we have their amortized cost, which I just explained. Then what is the reason behind, we can ask that, what is the reason behind assigning the amortized cost of 2 units to the push operation and 0 units to the pop and multi-pop operation? To understand this, this concept of amortized cost here in this particular example of stack operations, let us try to see that when an object is pushed to the stack, so what is happening? It is now associate, or it is having a credit of 2 units, which is enough to pay not only for the operation of push, but also whenever that particular element has been pulled out. So basically associating 2 units with the objects of the stack at the time of pushing, what are we ensuring? We are ensuring one particular unit for push and another particular unit for pop operation whenever that element is going to be popped. So basically what are we trying to say is, when an object is pushed onto the stack, it is having enough credit to pay not only for the operation of pushing it onto the stack, but also for whatever operation will eventually remove it from the stack, be it the pop operation or be it the multi-pop operation, for both the operations, or even for no operation, even no operation at all. So for all the operations it is having enough credit. So $2 has been taken, $2 has been charged, one for push, another one for maybe pop or multi-pop, through which that particular element is going to come out from the stack. So now let us try to understand this analogy by this example by using an analogy of stacks of plates. So whenever we talk about the term stack, the first picture that comes in the mind is the stack of plates. So let's say we are going to represent $1 to represent 1 unit of cost, and let us start with an empty stack. So what is happening here? Whenever we trying to push a plate on the stack, we are or we can say every plate which is going to be pushed onto the stack or which is going to be used is having $2 with it, and we are going to use $1 to pay the actual cost of push whenever we are going to push the plate, and that $1 has been taken, and now what are we left with, or what is that plate is associated, that plate is left with is actually $1 out of that $2, because $1 has been charged and 1 is remaining, and that $1 is, what are we going to do with that $1? That $1 is put on the top of the plate. So every plate which is being pushed onto the stack is having $1 extra kept on that particular plate. So at any point of time when we are going to take out that plate, that dollar will be paid for popping it from the stack. So whenever my various plates are on the stack, at any point of time every plate on the stack is having $1 of credit on it, or we can say is having $1 kept on it, and that dollar stored on the plate is, we can say, is whatever we have charged in advance, and that advance charged or that credit is going to take care of the cost of popping that plate from the stack. So whenever we are executing a pop operation, we charge that operation nothing. That pop operation, amortized cost of pop operation is nothing, because that amortized cost of pop operation has already been paid in advance by its push operation, and we will pay the actual cost of pop operation using the credit stored in the stack. So that credit here is actually the, we can say, that dollar or that 1 unit which is kept on the top of that particular plate. So whenever we are going to pop a plate, we take the dollar of credit of the plate and use it to pay the actual cost of the operation. So here what we have done is, we have charged the push operation a little bit more, and subsequently or as a result we need not to charge the pop operation anything. So here the cost of push operation as well as the cost of pop operation, what I am talking about is the amortized cost, is different. Push operation has been charged 2 units, while the pop operation has been charged as 0 unit, while the actual cost of push as well as pop operation, if you can recall, was 1 for each. So push and pop was having the actual cost as, you know, we can say they have the same actual cost, while the amortized cost of push operation and pop operations are actually different from each other, because we have overcharged push and we are not charging, or we can say if we are charging 0, so we can also say this as we are undercharging pop operation. And this is what our accounting method is, that various operations are there, some will be overcharged and some will be undercharged, and whenever we are having an overcharge, that overcharge is stored as credit with that particular element of the data structure, and that credit will be, you know, used for other operations in the sequence. Now coming to this was the discussion about we can say push operation and pop operation. Now what about multi-pop operations? So coming to multi-pop operations, we need not to charge multi-pop operations anything either, because to pop the first plate we are going to take the dollar of credit of the plate and use it to pay the actual cost of the pop operation. To pop the second plate, we again have a dollar of credit on the plate and we can pay the pop operation from that. So whether you are going to, you know, take your plates in one instance, multiple plates in one instance using multi-pop operations, or we are going to take them out individually one by one, we need not to charge either pop or multi-pop operation, because the charge has been taken care by the push operation. So and here we have ensured that is because my stack is always having a non-negative number of plates, that means we can always say that amount of credit is always non-negative, or the amount of credit is always positive here. So the total amortized cost is an upper bound on the total cost. Since the total amortized cost is order n, so is the actual total cost also. So we have seen in this lecture, we have seen that we have taken one example of one daily life example of posting purchasing and posting a particular pre-stamped envelope, and then we have taken the example of our stack data structure, and we have seen that how accounting method is used to perform the amortized analysis here in both these two examples. Thank you for a patient hearing. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture.